Hey guys, welcome to an episode of our Student Live interview series. For those of you who don't know me, this is my first time hosting one of these interviews. I normally do the student recruitment series, but I'm going to be taking these over from now on. So I'm super excited to do this first one. Today we have Benjo O'Brien on. We're just waiting for him to join. Hey, how are you?
Good. How about yourself?
I'm good. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to do this. We really appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Before we get started, why don't you just give us a little background on who you are, what sport you play, where you're from, things like that.
Nice. So my name's Benjamin O'Brien, but people call me Benjo O'Brien. I'm a freshman at University of San Diego, and I'm originally from San Diego, so I got the opportunity to stay home and play college football at where I'm from.
That's really cool. I've actually always wanted to visit San Diego.
Yeah, it's
I'm from
beautiful.
Boston area, so I haven't had the chance to really go out and visit there at all. But my dad says it's a really, really nice area.
Yeah,
Definitely
one of my closest friends, who's my quarterback growing up in high school, he goes to Tufts and he plays football in Tufts out in Boston. So
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. I haven't been to a Tufts game, but it's kind of hard to go to many games right now.
Yeah.
So my first question for you is, how did you know that you wanted to play in college?
So I've always had like the dream of playing in college in the NFL, just because like as a kid playing sports, it's always like your like lifelong goal to like make it to the next level. But what really made me like want to play the next level was my grandpa. My grandpa played at USC, and so ever since I was a kid, he was always the one like showing me how to play, showing me how to run routes and stuff like that. So he was really the one that got me like wanting to play football.
Yeah, like those family members always have like a huge influence on what people want to do. And yeah, like my dad certainly had a big influence on me. I personally love watching football. So yeah, my dad got me into that. So like parents really have a big influence on
Yeah.
getting you into what you want to do. So how was your recruitment process? Were you only really talking to the University of San Diego? Did you have other schools that you were talking to, looking at?
So I had a few other schools. I had multiple preferred walk-ons, but I just felt like the journey that I wanted to go to was best at USD. And then I had a few other offers, Division I offers, and then a few D2s and D3s. But it just felt like throughout the process and being recruited right when COVID hit, I didn't really have the opportunity to go visit other places. And so obviously being from San Diego, I was familiar with like what USD had to offer and like the environment around it. So I just felt like it was the best place to go.
Yeah, I've talked to a lot of students about being recruited during the pandemic,
Hmm.
and it's really frustrating because you can't always see all the schools. Like, I
Yeah.
know I wouldn't want to go to a school without knowing like what the campus was like, what the environment was like. So that's really difficult. Like, I'm sure, especially with recruiting,
Yeah.
going through all of that amidst a pandemic, it's really difficult. There's a lot of challenges in the way.
Mhm.
Um, what were you looking for in colleges when you were being recruited, either athletically or academically?
So academically, it's like my mom and my dad have always been putting academics on me. So like it's always been a big factor in my life to make sure that I'm in like the best educational school and best opportunity I can get with academics. And then for football wise, it's just a place that like I knew that wanted me and that I felt like was home away from home, even though I'm still in San Diego. But it was just a mix of both. It was just like I wanted everything that like made me feel like I was like at the right place and like knew that I was going to spend the next 4 to 5 years here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like that's all of that is incredibly important. And I know as a student athlete, it's sometimes really difficult to balance both your athletics and academics. So being somewhere where you like know that you want to do, like that offers the thing that you want to do academically is also very important.
Hmm.
Um, and you kind of talked a little bit about like why you decided to go to the University of San Diego, but was there anything else that contributed to your decision?
Just a lot of the coaches. I felt like the coaches were just like they're very welcoming and they bring in all the new players. And then also a lot of the guys and buddies that I played travel ball with or like grew up playing with also went to University of San Diego with me. So I think we had like a total of like 14 or 15 other San Diego high school athletes that stayed home and decided to go to San Diego too. So it
Yeah.
just me like obviously you have that brotherhood on your football team, but also having players that you are familiar with going into it was also a cool experience and made the choice a lot easier.
Oh yeah, like that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes also like when you know a lot of the people, it makes kind of like building like connections like for the sport a little bit easier as well because you've played
Yeah.
with everybody and like you kind of know them a little bit. So what's your favorite thing about being a student athlete?
Um, I don't know. I think honestly, just like the brotherhood, I guess, like just like having like it's kind of like joining like a fraternity or sorority. Like in college, like you already automatically go into school, like having like a group of people that you're friends with and have a connection with because you guys are all playing the same sport that you love. So I think like that's probably the coolest part. But there's also like definitely some like obstacles in the way, just managing your time with school and athletics, and then all the distractions outside, especially with COVID too. So it's hard, but it's also a great experience.
Yeah, yeah, like having all of those people like around you to be there to support you, like especially during the pandemic when things are very not normal and like you never really know what things are going to look like. It's must be really nice to have like that built-in support group to be there
Yeah.
to go through all of this. And you mentioned a little bit about what you think is the most challenging part about being a student athlete, but is there anything else that kind of stands out?
Um, no, I think like for the most part it's managing your time, but I just think especially right now with COVID, I think like everything sadly revolves around COVID. So everything's getting changed around, like schedules getting changed around, who we play gets changed around. Um, Obviously like some guys have to miss practice and certain stuff like that. So it's just hard because of COVID. So that's pretty much the biggest obstacle that we have to face right now.
Yeah, no, like that definitely throws everything out of loop. And like, I know that some schools are putting like restrictions on practices, and like some schools aren't even like having games, and like seasons are
Yeah.
canceled. So like, you never really know what's happening with that. Like, some schools haven't even released like what they're doing for the spring season for their
Yep.
athletics, and that's like you never really know what's going to happen. And with managing time, like I know that that's really difficult. Like I've talked to a few student athletes at my school, to D3 school, and people like really struggle with it. So
Yeah.
what are some ways that you overcome that really difficult balance with timing?
I don't know. I think sleep helps because I think getting enough rest, it makes you like very organized and like helps you like plan out your day if you like wake up at a good time, go to bed at a certain time. Um, but I think just staying on task, like having like your notebooks in class and different stuff like that. So you're always on top of like what you need to get done in the classroom and outside of the classroom.
Yeah, I agree. That's very, very important. I use a lot of that things to get my stuff done. I'm not even a student athlete. Um,
Yeah.
so I know you've kind of talked a little bit about like COVID specifically like impacting your season, but like what are some ways that it's impacted like your experience at San Diego State or University of San Diego, and also like just being on the field?
Um, we were supposed to originally play in the fall, just like most schools were, but since of COVID, it got pushed back. So we're planning on playing this upcoming spring, but it's just affected like being on campus. So like all of our meetings that we should be in person doing with the coaches are all via Zoom. Uh, like you have specific dress times that you have to go, and then yeah, it's just like that. And then like I haven't had the opportunity to meet all the guys on the team even yet, so that kind of sucks. So yeah.
Have you guys had like have you guys been able to practice at all, or have you had like small like extra practices with like certain groups?
So in the fall, which would have been like our spring ball, but we did in the fall was it was like we had practice, but it was kind of split up into different groups and stuff like that. And then we don't know the exact plan yet for how we're going to do it this spring, but they're getting it all organized right now, so soon enough that we're going to be ready to go out there no matter what's going on.
Yeah, hopefully you guys will be able to like get out there on the field and play a full season. Because I know
Yep.
that there's schools that have had to cancel games and like even postpone the rest of their season. So hopefully things go well for you guys and you can play a
Yep. I
full.
hope so.
What is the goal that you have for this year? It's a new year, 2021. Do you have any goals as either an athlete or as a student?
Student, just keeping my grades up, just making sure that I'm doing the best that I can in class, and then athlete wise, hopefully get some playing opportunity, and then just overall hope this pandemic comes to an end or gets figured out soon, so that my parents and my families can come to the game.
Yeah, and I know like not being able to attend any games is kind of sad. Like you
Yeah,
just playing in a game with a big empty stadium, and it's not really the same. Um, Even like for professional sports, like they try to play the fan audio in the stadium, but again, it's not the same.
yeah,
Um, So do you have any advice for students that want to play a sport in college, especially right now with the pandemic, like with either recruiting or even like what to expect when you get into playing like collegiate sports in the middle of a pandemic?
Yeah, I was actually just talking about like my other like buddies that are still in high school about this, but I think like the biggest factor of right now with athletes is it's like really showing who spends that extra time working, because you have a lot more time to yourself and away from coaches and other teammates. So when you get on the field and you have the opportunity to show off your skills and show how hard you've been working, it's going to really show off to see if like you've been working hard enough or even working to the level that you need to. Because if you go to the field after all this time off because of COVID and you're out of shape, they obviously know that you're not working as hard as some people are. So I think just staying on top of your dedication, how hard you work is the most important stuff right now.
Yeah, and I've talked to a few like student athletes about recruiting in the middle of a pandemic. Like they've all told me that what's also really important about all this is building relationships, especially
Yeah.
since you can't be in person. Like you might not be able to you might not be able to meet the coach in person. You might not be able to do the tour or have that overnight visit or like see all the facilities and like have that opportunity to show the coach who you are in person. So it's really important to create those relationships virtually, which is kind of difficult. I mean, we're all trying to do that right now, but it's important to keep trying to do that.
Yep.
But yeah, I don't know if anybody put any questions in the chat. I don't think so. Did anyone have any questions before we end everything? Or did you have anything that you wanted to say before we close?
Not really. Just thank you for the opportunity. It was great doing this. But I know a couple of my buddies and my coach George, who's one of my best friends out there. He's saying stuff. But yeah, thank you for the opportunity, and hope to do this again sometime.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much for coming on. I really enjoyed talking to you. Yeah, that's
Awesome.
going to be it, guys. Thank you so much for joining.